Hi, for this video what I want to do is show you how to use the TI-Nspire to solve a system of inequalities. Okay, so the nice thing about the TI-Nspire is I can put equations in that look like this with an inequality and it will help me shade it. It will even make it dotted or solid depending upon what I need. And then you would just have to be able to transfer the answer to paper or select the correct answer depending upon what kind of test you are taking. All right, so let me grab my calculator, and I do have these written down on a piece of paper, so if you want to write them down really quickly before we go to the calculator screen, or you can just type along with me. So grabbing my calculator, I am going to go to option 2 to add a graph. And when I come in here, notice it says f1 of x equals. So if you're just graphing a line, you would use this one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit delete, and what pops up is it gives me the different options of y is less than or equal to, y is greater than, y equals, y greater than or equal to, or I can select a relation. So if you want to draw like a circle or a hyperbola, you can use option 6. Okay, so for this one, the first one that we have is a parabola, and it was y is less than negative x squared minus 3. Okay, and then when I hit enter, it's going to go ahead and graph it down here for me. Okay, I'm going to just grab this label and move it out of the way. But we can see that it is dotted. They did make it dotted, and you can see that the vertex is at -3. All right, so we have another graph that we want to put on here. So what I can do is hit Control and the letter G, and that will allow me to type in another value. Okay, so for the second one that we had x, minus 2y is less than or equal to 8. So I would select less than or equal to 8 and hit enter. And I typed that in wrong. That was my fault. I hit the, let me go back up and change this. So that shows you what happens if you accidentally hit the negative instead of subtraction. So sometimes it's good for me to make mistakes so you can see what happens if you do it wrong. Okay, so I wanted x minus 2y. I hit the wrong one. And so we can see that the intersection of these two occur in this little place right here. Okay, so we can also see that at 1, 2, 3, -4, right here is where our y-intercept is. We can look at some of the points on here. Our slope would be up 1 over 2. So we could have also solved this for y in order to graph it. So if you were going to put this on paper, you would first want to try to draw a straight line. Let me try that again. All right, it's a little bit better. It's very hard to draw with this thing that I draw on. All right, and we know that the vertex of the parabola is at -3 because it's been shifted down 3. And then I know that I would go to the right one and left one, and I can just draw a general curve. For this one, it is dotted because of the fact that it's less than and it does not include it, and we know that we want to shade below because it's less than. The second equation, if I were to do this by hand, I would have to solve for y. So to do that, I would move the negative x to the other side, and then I would divide everything by -2. And don't forget, when I divide by a negative, that it changes the inequality, so I would have 1/2 x minus 4. Okay, so -4 and then up 1 over 2. And I could go up 1 over 2 again. And then this one would be solid. Okay, and then as far as shading goes, is we just want the region that is below the parabola but above the line, so it would just be this region right here. All right, so let me show you how to do the second one. The second one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control and G again. Okay, and I'm going to go up so that I can clear this and just hit Control and clear. And then I'm going to go up to the second one and hit Control and clear. And then let's type in our equation. So the first one that we have is a circle. We have x squared plus parentheses y minus 1. And I'm going to do the right one this time, squared. And then I'm going to hit Control and equals, and I'm going to select the less than. And the radius squared was 4. So I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to graph a circle for me. We can see that it's centered at 0, 1 with a radius of 2. Okay, and it is dotted because it did not include it. And then I'm going to hit Control and G again, and I'm going to type in the second one, which is x minus 2y is less than or equal to -4. So this was just the second one that I had on my paper. And hit enter, and it graphs, and you can see that the intersection of the two is this little region of the circle right here. So again, you can see that on this one that it crosses here at -4, 0, and it also has an intercept at -2, so it might be easier to use the intercepts, or you could solve for y in order to graph this on paper if you needed to. So if you needed to put this on paper, the first one, like I said before, was a circle with a center at 1, 0. So this right here, it tells us that our center is at 0, 1. It's whatever's being subtracted from x and y. And the radius is the square root of 4, which is 2. So that tells me I would go out 2 in every direction. And because it does not have a line underneath it, I would do a dotted circle. All right, for the second one, and we know we're going to shade on the inside because it's less than. For the second one, I'm going to go ahead and solve for y, and when I do that, I get -2y less than or equal to -x minus 4. Divide everything by -2, which flips the sign, so I get greater than or equal to 1/2 x plus 2. So at 2 right here is my y-intercept, and then I go up 1 over 2. Or I could go down 1 and back 2. So we can see that this line right here is the second equation. And then as far as filling it in, we would just fill in this region right here. I know that the original problem was less than, but because we're dividing by a negative value, it does flip it to be greater than. So always solve for y when you're trying to put it on paper. So hopefully this video helped you out with being able to use the TI-Nspire to help you come up with what your shapes should look like. Whether you have circles, parabolas, lines, you can graph them very easily in the TI-Nspire. You can also do the shading so that you can see which direction they should shade. It also helps you to see whether it should be dotted or solid. As always, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. If there are additional topics that you would like me to cover, please let me know that as well.